Ace Bailey career high, Nurk another triple-double, and a brilliant coaching matchup, actually. As fun an X's and O's coaching game as I've seen in the regular season in a long time. We're talking about it next on POSTCAST. David Locke along with Ron Boone after the Spurs beat the Jazz 126-109. And I want to start where I ended there because we had played them recently, and so you got a little bit of that playoff kind of coaching feel to this. The Jazz came out, Scott Morrison gave us a game plan if you're listening to the radio, and they wanted Nurk to have the ball up top, run the entire offense through Nurk, bring Wembanyama out to him, and then run cutters. And in the first half, they did it okay. We talked to Jason Terry at halftime on a radio broadcast. Said we got to be better cutting off the ball. They were brilliant with it in the third quarter. And Nurk dimed out 14 assists tonight, the most ever by a Utah Jazz center in the history of the franchise. And Will Hardy had Mitch Johnson flustered a little bit. Kelly Olynyk's their backup center without Luke Cornett. Will Hardy went at Kelly Olynyk every single time. Mitch Johnson countered with Jeremy Sohan in the second half instead of Kelly Olynyk.
And Johnson.
And then played Keldon Johnson late. And then in probably the key part of the game where it changed, he called a timeout and Victor guarded whoever's in the – at first it was Ace Bailey, then it was Isaiah Collier, then you astutely pointed out it's whoever's in the corner. And it flustered the Jazz. They didn't have an immediate answer to that. This is where Will Hardy talks about them having experience, and they didn't know what to do. And I just thought that was a brilliant coaching game. Will came with a great game plan. His protege, Mitch Johnson, when they were in San Antonio, comes back and has a great answer and great talent. And I just thought it was super cool. Like, two great young coaches in this league. Probably going to have some more battles along the way. There's a lot of individual performance to talk about, but that jumped out to me about this one.
That totally jumped out, David, because when they made that change, that puts Victor closer to the basket, meaning he can come from, and help out from that wing position. And the fact that these two guys are going at each other, it's kind of like when you play a team this close together or maybe back to back, you're always anticipating the moves that a coach is going to make the previous time. And obviously Mitch didn't make that adjustment because the Jazz took advantage of putting Nurkic in the middle of the floor, but game situations and game adjustments panned off for the San Antonio Spurs.
What's interesting, we have not seen the Spurs in a playoff series yet with Victor Wembanyama. We will this year. I am fascinated to watch that playoff series because this is what's going to go on. Will Hardy just wrote the script by what you have to do. Have a center, get up, play him up high, and force. And so that's Nikola Jokic can do that. Chet Holmgren can probably do that in Oklahoma City. Rudy Gobert cannot do that in Minnesota. Will they go to Naz Reid and have to play with someone else in that level? Alfred Şengün may not be tall enough to do it, but he might be able to do it. He's a good passer. Can he bring him out and play? He doesn't shoot the three well enough, so you may just drop off. It's a fascinating thing to look at, like what teams can and can't do this. And then what we're going to see is Mitch Johnson countering, very similar to what Quinn Snyder had to do with Rudy Gobert. And then Terrence Mann hits all those corner threes, right? Like, so this will be fascinating. We actually, I think, just saw Will Hardy write script one of how you try to deal with Victor Wembanyama in a playoff series.
Well, this is what coaching's all about. And this is where coaches earn their money when they make adjustments, especially, David, in-games adjustments. In-game situations where you can stop a team from making a run like the Jazz were making there with Nurk in the middle of the floor, and then all of a sudden they make these runs and they make the adjustments and things turned around. But that's what coaching's all about, and that's why you have assistants reminding coaches of this and that and all that kind of things. And unfortunate for the Jazz get outscored in their fourth quarter, 29-17.
Jazz offense really fell apart when these changes made. They didn't have the plays to be made. And Victor then had an impact. Like they ran a bunch of plays and they couldn't get past Victor. And so there was an issue there. Let's talk about Ace Bailey. This kid scored 25 tonight. And we've talked about this a lot. He's going to score an easy 20 in the NBA. He's going to score an easy 25 or 26 or 27 when he actually gets a complete offensive game.
I totally agree with that. And he can play up above the rim. But what I'm seeing, David, boy, he can run. He can run and he can finish at the rim if you throw it to him. That mid-range jump shot is going to be his pet peeve. I don't think he'll be able to shoot the three, but I think that mid-range, something what you see in Shea, that kind of thing. But I think Bailey comes off picks more. he comes off dribble handoffs more and will be able to shoot from that standpoint. But I think that's going to be his strength.
He'll have to tighten his handle to be able to create his own shots. Right now, his handle's not tight enough for him to come off a pick and make his own plays very often, unless someone goes under or they get, we've seen that. But he's coming off the off-ball screens and doing those kind of plays, which seems to be where he is more comfortable. But I also think that's a skill he's going to add without any problem, which is that improved handle. The other one on the mid-range, like you may say to yourself, well, in the NBA doesn't want mid-range. No, what the NBA doesn't want is everyone shooting mid-range. Like this, I want to get this clear. The NBA doesn't want everyone shooting mid-range, but your best players, Keontae George and Ace Bailey, probably are going to have to play in the mid-range. I don't want Isaiah Collier playing in the mid-range. I don't want Kyle Filipowski playing in the mid-range. I don't know Bryce Sensabaugh maybe if he's your scorer off the bench. That's what, if you look at the best teams and you look at Oklahoma City, like Shea takes mid-range shots, but Isaiah Joe's not taking mid-range shots, and the not as good Jalen Williams is not taking mid-range shots, and they're taking threes, and that's how the floor is spaced now. And if you go back to Toronto with Nick Nurse, Kyle Lowry, and Kawhi Leonard, and Pascal Siakam took mid-range shots, and nobody else on that team took mid-range shots.
I did, but I think if you're going to be a player in this league, you got to be a threat in the mid-range, or vice versa. If you're a mid-range player, you got to be a threat from the three-point line. I just think you got to have not a complete package from both, but you have to be a threat from one or the other. If your strength is one, because what you see with a lot of centers in this league is take Nurk, for instance. They're gonna let him shoot threes all night long. But you know, I understand what you're saying, but I prefer to have a guy that's a threat. That way you have to defend them a little bit.
Your
different.
two best players can be your threats.
Yeah.
And then I'm holding on my philosophy here. So if you go look around the league, it's where we are. OG Anunoby is taking a three. Miles Bridges is taking a three. Jalen Brunson is taking a mid-range shot.
Jalen Brunson's taking threes as well.
Yeah, no, you have to do both.
He's a threat.
No, if you're a great player, you got to do both.
Yeah.
But all right. We'll talk about more about Ace Bailey, what he did tonight, plus another triple-double from Nurk and some other standouts tonight. Tonight's show is brought to you in part by TurboTax. That's right. That time of year is back. It is here. It is TurboTax time, but it is also a great opportunity for you because TurboTax has local people for you now to help you out with what you're doing with TurboTax. Here's the deal with TurboTax right now that's fun and an opportunity for you to get taxes off your mind and not be worrying about them. TurboTax. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life because TurboTax is making it easier. Full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert start to finish without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person. They handle everything from W-2s to self-employment forms. You can upload your documents, go about your day, and get your uprates right in the TurboTax. It's huge, time saver, and gives you real peace of mind. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If TurboTax expert didn't file your taxes last year, just file by February 28th. That takes it off your plate and gets you back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local. That's TurboTax.com/local. Today's show is also brought to you by Quo. Get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to Quo.com/lockedon. NBA. Quo, new systems, a new year. There has to be a better way for your business. Streamlining your communication is one of the quickest upgrades you can make, and that's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo. QUO, the smartest way to run your business communications. Because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're working with creating more opportunities to connect with your customers. It works right from your phone or computer. You can even keep your existing number, and Quo's smart AI tools automatically log calls, summarize conversations, and highlight next steps. It's no surprise Quo is the #1 rated business phone on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses for solo operators and growing teams. Make this the year with no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free plus 20% off your first 6 months when you go to Quo.com/LockedOnNBA. That's Quo.com/LockedOnNBA. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. And finally, brought to you by FanDuel, official sportsbook of the NBA and of Locked On. FanDuel's got Fridays for you, and Friday is happy hour time every Friday. That's tomorrow or today, depending when you're listening to the show. Fridays, NF happy hour happens from the hour and a half before the game with all sorts of new bonuses, new packs, all those sorts of new things with the NBA Happy Hour at FanDuel.com. All right, back to Nurk in the triple-double. We talked about why it happened, but what have the Jazz maybe unlocked here with Nurk as a real offensive distributor in this offense?
Well, they knew he could pass. They definitely knew that, and we saw that at the beginning of the year. Now, how to use him. And how to use him is to use cutters. Guys set a good pick. I noticed a couple of times that I thought Bailey or Keontae was going to be open. He did not give him the basketball. He went and ran a two-man game from the side. I mean, just using his head. Now, he tried to force quite a few of them, but by using him in the middle of the floor, it really opened up something.
They have him with one turnover. How is that possible?
That is questionable. But
did they all get kicked out of bounds and become Jazz ball?
That's what I'm thinking. Maybe something like that, or maybe it was kicked or touched or something, and it goes back into a Jazz player's hands.
But it seems like there were a lot of incomplete passes.
Yeah.
What do you see? What does this do? Is this just another thing that we now see? Was it unique without Lowry, or now does Nurk have more confidence and you can roll to this more often?
What this tells me is going forward and thinking long-term with this team, especially next year, you got couple of different ways you can play.
Interesting.
With Nurkic at center, and then you got Kessler as a starter. I mean, you can play big and forcing guys to Kessler, or you can play with Nurk. Just gives coaches options for the most part.
I also point out they did not have a very good offensive night tonight. Their offensive rating say 107. That's largely because the fourth quarter was 17 points. Mm-hmm. But it is worth noting that despite some of these numbers, it was not a great offensive night tonight for the Jazz. Do you have anything else? We moved past 8. Do you have anything else on Ace Bailey's 25 you want to add about his performance tonight?
No, just the fact that, again, I like the way he runs the floor. I mean, and he plays up above the rim. He's just so quick, and you can just see his improvement. And what did he have? This has to be
career high 25.
I'm talking about the minutes.
Oh, 32
minutes.
I think he's played 35, but yeah, I mean, he's really got to start. I mean, I think he'll play 32 almost every night for the rest of the way.
That has to be going forward. That's something that we'll probably see more of.
Any comment on Cody's 7 rebounds tonight?
I like Cody, and he's getting more aggressive. And Will have said that many times. He wants Cody to be aggressive. Pass up a couple of threes to drive baseline. So what? Didn't have the confidence to shoot it, or maybe he wasn't in rhythm, or whatever the case. He ended up going to the basket and not having a bad night. 12 points. He had 7 rebounds, and 4 of those coming on the offensive glass.
And 3 assists tonight. Really good, well-rounded night there for Cody Williams. De'Aaron Fox was the piece on the other side that really did the damage. He went 6 of 9. He had 31 points, 10 of 13 shooting. He came in on fire, kept it going. Victor Wembanyama had 26, 13, 3, 5 blocks, 2 of which he caught straight out of the air. What were your thoughts on Victor tonight?
Victor is special, David, and 14 shots a game. Most guys that's going to average 20, 25, 26 points a ball game going to get up at least 20. Going to average at least 20. But he does it with just 14 shots tonight, 7 threes. Now that helps him as far as the amount of points he's going to get. And he does get a lot of opportunities to get. But I think the big difference in this game tonight was that the fact that the Jazz had the Spurs had 11 fast break points in the first half. They ended up with 32. So they started running and getting ahead of the Jazz defensive scoring and transition.
I look at on cleaning the glass, they give you the percentage of possessions that they call transition. Now it's just based on time. So it's not flawless, but they were only at 12% at the end of the first quarter tonight. And then they finished the night, by the end of the third quarter, they were at 20% of their possessions were in transition. And by the end of the night, tonight, they finished with 20% of their possessions in the half in transition. That's a lot. So I agree. They got out in transition an awful lot. All right. Who are your stars for tonight? Lacey is back from her night out, so we don't actually.
Lacey was a night out on the town.
Lacey had a night out on the town.
Mm-hmm. Today it's not a weekend, is it?
I don't know. Lacey's crazy.
Yes. Okay. Lacey. We got Ace Bailey. We got Cody Williams and Nurk for sure, and Keontae. We got 4 tonight.
Keontae 5 free throws again tonight. 7 of 15 shooting. Very efficient again. Nobody on the bench really stood out tonight for the Jazz.
And they're looking very good, without Lowry, finding points elsewhere, and so kind of impressive, and you got to be encouraged by what we're seeing now.
One rotation change tonight. Kyle Filipowski is the first guy off the bench as a power forward, not as a center tonight, and seemed. Will Hardy said pregame, it's nice to let Kyle Filipowski play his natural position, not play center. Mm-hmm. That wraps us up. Thanks for tuning in. Locked on Jazz is Ask LOJ tomorrow, so send me your Ask LOJ questions either at DLock09 on Twitter or at DLock09 at Gmail. Have a great night.